Microsoft Ignite. I mean, by golly, Pat. I mean, first of all, gosh, I look forward to doing Ignite again in person. I mean,
Yes.
you talked about Google's 160-page book of news. That was a pretty typical experience for Microsoft. And the hard part, like I said, is when you don't get to sit in the room. I do think there's a level of absorption that is lost when we don't get physically in front of these events. I think there's something about being in front of these machines, multitasking. I don't know what it is, but when you have this much news, it's hard. Now, Pat, there's a ton of different ways to go. What I'm going to do, just setting this up for everybody out there, I'm not going to touch Surface. That's your baby. There were some really important Surface announcements. I will talk about some of the other themes that I saw at Ignite that I thought were pretty important. First of all, Microsoft, like Google, is really leaning hard into the data platform. They have what's called their intelligent data platform. It's been aggressively expanding. They added 12 more partners to this. They're adding things for Postgres, for SQL. They've got more services for Kubernetes, for Azure on Arc, and they've also continued to expand their developer ecosystem. But that's I'm going to say that what really caught my eye tended to be more in the power and in the Teams area. That's where Microsoft really leaned in. They have this Dolly invite access program too. Not going to talk about that as much, but what they talked about big time is Power Automate. Power Automate and Teams really coming in together has been the focus of the company. They're finding more and more apps. I think high double-digit percentage of apps now that are being built on top of Teams are being done with Power. They're being done in low code, and Microsoft has been on this trend for a really long time. They've got AI Builder, they've got conversational intelligence. So basically what happens now is you don't need to be a developer anymore. You can build apps in Power, layer them into Teams, and then use them to connect, Pat,
yes,
front to the back.
There we go, baby.
Efficiently without necessarily needing to deploy your most prolific developers to get the everyday applications in the business that you need. A couple of things done on the productivity side that I really liked was this new Places work app. There's always been collaboration available in 365 Office. What I would say is this is an area, Pat, where if I'm being upfront, I think Google has been better. I use Docs and I like the collaboration experience in Docs more than 365, but with Places, you can see where they're trying to take this workspace. It's kind of your optimization of hybrid work and physical workspaces to be able to collaborate more in no matter where you are. I like kind of the direction they're going. I think giving 365 Office and Places and finding new ways to engage and collaborate, it's a little bit of their workspaces answer to what Google's done with workspaces. The other thing I really did like, Pat, was the intelligent recaps. I don't know if you saw this.
Yes.
You and I attended so many meetings, and I just said, yes, you and I love recording the meetings, but then it's still, you get the transcription and it's still up to us to figure out what was worth capturing. Microsoft is using machine learning and AI to basically say, we can abstract layers of important data from a meeting and then turn it into meaningful insights and information. That to me was like, that's a home run. Now, again, I got to see it work because I don't know if it's going to really capture it. But imagine if they could take the 10 best nuggets of every 6.5 right out of an intelligent recap, and then all of our listeners would only have to read those 10 things to instead of spending a whole hour here. Don't do that, by the way. That's not okay. But in general, we do spend a ton of time in meetings. A lot of it's unproductive. How do we get the productive and important stuff surmised in a way that we can quickly and easily capture? And then I guess maybe the last thing is there were some great partnerships with Cisco announced, Poly. They're deepening the bench to basically say, putting Teams on Cisco. I mean, always made sense to me. Yes. Cisco's got a really good hardware portfolio, and I know obviously they want everyone to use WebEx, but I think both companies are realizing that why not open it up and let the best hardware and the best software win for every enterprise environment. Microsoft's always been good at that. Glad they decided to partner up. And they're, of course, doing some stuff with Meta to deepen the partnership for more, a lot like what I talked about with Starline with Google, that next wave of 3D, immersive, metaverse-based collaboration. Hybrid work is going to have us all over the world at any given time. Can we use technology to make meetings less squares on screens and more immersive, humans interacting nearly in person, and Microsoft is pushing that envelope too. So lots of good stuff here, Pat.
All right, we're 30 minutes in, and we're on the third topic.
That's average for us. I just want to say.
Is it really? Okay. No.
We'll speed up though on the last three.
Daniel, you literally hit the top three announcements that I had carved out. Power Automate is super impressive. And by the way, it's an evolution. And when you think about the no-code capability, it was kind of like using Visio, where you would drag and drop certain boxes that there would be certain actions. And what this new capability enables is you to literally type into a CLI and have it spit out code and workflow. So leveraging, really leveraging AI and making it so that I think even you and I could figure this out. And I use, I've been using a no-code tool called Zapier for 6 years. And it's kind of more of a drag and drop. You put this in, but now you just type it in there. I'm actually very comfortable in drag and drop. And we're gonna have to see how many people actually use the CLI and type it in there. The Teams tool to spit out. So I use Otter.ai, and it's attempting to do it. It's not that good. It is not that good. Did you notice too that to get those special features, you're going to have to pay more money? I like that from Microsoft, right? Let's not give everything away for free and bundle it into E1 or E2 or E3. Let's charge for that. You can imagine how much cycles go into that. But hey, I have to hit Surface. Okay, there was a gigantic Surface announcement that happened in New York City. Ironically, at the same time that you and I in there, and let me hit some of the key themes here. So for Surface Pro, right, it's all about upgrading to the next generation Intel and Qualcomm processors, and of course with Qualcomm you get 5G. They've also pulled the line together. Right, there was the Pro X and there was the Pro 8. Now there's the Pro 9 with two different processor options. I cannot wait to try out the studio effects on this, Daniel. Here's the interesting part. Between Intel and Qualcomm, you can actually do more effects on Qualcomm than you can on Intel. Why is that? Because the SQ3 from Qualcomm has this giant NPU to do machine learning. It's kind of ironic that, hey, forget about raw processing power when it comes to the CPU and integer. You can actually do more effects on, let's say, Teams with Qualcomm than you can with Intel. I thought that was a super interesting stuff. Highlights from Surface Laptop 5. By the way, I'm using a Surface Laptop 3 right now. Is they upgraded the processor. Intel, they removed AMD this time, which is interesting. I'm going to have to get underneath that. And they added Thunderbolt 4. A little bit disappointed that the camera's not 1080p. It's still 720. I mean, typically Apple is behind the curve on everything when it comes to cameras, but even they've moved to 1080p. Another highlight for me, Daniel, iCloud Photos on Windows 11. So essentially what that means, instead of doing what I do, which is uploading all my photos to iCloud, Google Photos, and OneDrive, it just goes directly. There's an API that pulls in all of those photos. And I saw some demos about a month and a half ago. It's instantaneous. Take a picture on your iPhone, it immediately shows up in the iCloud photos. So Microsoft really improved on some elements that's kind of been this dangling Chad. And I'm seeing a bigger connection between Apple and Microsoft. Dare I say that it might be thawing a little bit? Heck, even Apple content is going to have Apple Video, Apple TV is going to have a native application on Windows. So mind blown. Check out Forbes. I'm going to have an overall article about Ignite, and then I'm going to have an article, an analysis on the Surface launch.